Welcome back to Newswire here on SportsGrid. Always fun to talk horse racing here on the show. And again, it's such a fun sport. It's been around for so long, and I feel like it's taken a little bit of a backseat to sports betting, but it shouldn't, because it still is the most exciting 2 minutes, I think, anywhere in sports. And Scott Butera of DailyRacingForm is going to join us now, go over the upcoming Preakness Stakes, which, of course, will be interesting to see if Mystic Dan can win again after being a big long shot going into the Kentucky Derby, and talk a little bit more about DailyRacingForm and how people can access it. Scott, thanks for coming on Newswire. Great to see you and meet you for the first time here on the show. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no, Craig, it's great to be here. And thanks for that lead in with horse racing taking a back seat. I think anyone who's at the Kentucky Derby saw just how fantastic, an event at a horse race can be with, over 160,000 people there and 16 million viewers. And hopefully the Preakness, in this upcoming week can carry that forward. So excited about what's going on in racing. And I think sports betting and the craze around sports betting is actually, giving more attention to horse racing and betting on horse racing. So hopefully things can come together.
Yeah, and it's a very specialized niche in order to handicap these, races, because again, you have to be paying very close attention not just to the horses, but to the trainers and to the jockeys and everything else. And I think that's why Daily Racing Form comes into play here in such a very big way. I would like to talk a little bit about the platform for people who may be watching for the first time and get a better understanding as to what Daily Racing Form provides.
Yeah, Daily Racing Form is really the leading provider of horse racing, thoroughbred horse racing data and analytics, really in North America and hopefully throughout the world one day. And, if you're a handicapper, and like you say, people will spend a lot of time handicapping racing. It's almost like a deep science in some regards. But, what we're trying to do is broaden the appeal that, you really don't have to be a hardcore racing enthusiast or handicapper to enjoy betting on racing, and how we can take some of those products and make them a little bit more accessible to the more casual bettor. And I think that's probably the next step for us. But, really our mission, our goal, and what we strive to be is that leading provider of horse racing data and analytics. And, that's why we're really excited about working with SportsGrid, because that's kind of your mantra too, is to be in that vein. So I think, as we work on partnerships like this, we'll hopefully be able to, get that message out to more people.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, because with the partnership that we have here at SportsGrid with Daily Racing Form, I think what it does is provide people with more data, more information, but I think most importantly, Scott, it is just more education on what is out there, because I think that data is very important, but it's also important as to how it is used, and I think that really will tell the story as to how you can properly handicap things. Now, again, anything can happen in any handicap, in any sport, but being able to actually understand data and use it correctly, isn't that very important?
Yeah, it is. And, it kind of makes it fun. If you look at what's going on in the world, and, if you look at economics and what's driving inflation, it's a lot of these, experiences, right? So people are out there, spending money on experiences, whether it's, sporting events, horse racing events, cruise line shows, concerts, etc. People want to be entertained. And, what our data does, it makes, watching racing very engaging, right? So if you're looking at an upcoming race, you somehow feel like you've had some inside information, or if you spent, days, weeks, hours, whatever, trying to solve the puzzle of who's going to win that race, and you succeed, it's a very satisfying accomplishment. So, we really are looking at, one, yes, you can use our data to handicap and hopefully, make money if you're, an experienced handicapper, but also, to have fun, right? And get some fun information that when you're watching a race as a more casual bettor, you can really enjoy what you're seeing and have, a little bit of knowledge as to what's going on.
Yeah, I think that is really the key, is to get a better understanding. And again, here we're trying to entertain as well as educate, and I think that's part of it. The entertaining, very fast race at Pimlico this weekend will be the Preakness, and no surprise that Mystic Dan is once again the favorite, because a lot of the horses, let's be honest, Scott, have dropped out. And we see this a lot after the Kentucky Derby. When horses don't have success, we just don't see them anymore. I'm looking right now. It looks like a 9-horse race coming up this weekend. I guess that's it. We haven't had a Triple Crown winner since Justify. Is Mystic Dan one of those horses that could potentially do it? So many times we see a horse win the Derby, become the favorite in the Preakness, and then fall short. What happens, do you think, this weekend?
Well, it's kind of an open field. And, with Muth, scratching this morning due to a fever from a coast-to-coast flight, and being somebody who commutes from, the West Coast to New York, I sort of get that and feel bad for him. But the field is really open. But being somebody who wants the sport to be successful, always having a live Triple Crown, is great for the sport, great for fan engagement. So it'd be great to see Mystic Den prevail, but you also have some pretty good horses out there. Baffert's still alive with Imagination, and if you like a long shot, Uncle Heavy with Irad Ortiz on board could be an interesting call as well. So I think it's gonna be an exciting race, but somebody who gets a lot of value out of the sport, drawing a lot of attention, it'd be great to keep that Triple Crown alive.
Scott, let's end with this. We know the explosion of sports betting has created content and shows like ours. Where do you see the future of betting on horses?
Just that, I think that it's going to participate in that. I think the, rising tide hopefully floats all boats. Historically, horse racing has been one of the leading, sports to bet on throughout the world. It's the only sport you can bet on kind of on a 24/7 basis. It does have broad international appeal. And I think, by efforts like this and getting more exposure and events like, the Derby and the Preakness and hopefully the Belmont, it's creating a lot of attention. I think you're going to see horse racing, make a huge comeback, and I think it's going to have broader appeal to that younger market that wants to have fun and bet on sports and bet on racing.
Yeah, I think folks forget, but before legalized sports betting happened, horse racing was the go-to for people who wanted to bet on events. All right, well, Scott, great to catch up again. Thanks again for coming on Newswire. We'll check out all the information this weekend here on SportsGrid and also over at DailyRacingForm. Thanks again for coming on.
Appreciate it, Craig. Thank you so much.
All right, Scott Butera with us here on Newswire. As we take a quick time out here on the show, we'll come back and wrap things up next. There's a pitcher in Major League Baseball that is throwing faster than anybody has in years. We'll tell you who that is. And also Tom Brady talks about doing the roast on Netflix. Does he like it? Did he hate it? Does he have any regrets about it? We'll share what he said coming up next. You're watching Newswire on SportsGrid, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern. I'm Craig Mish. We'll be back after these quick messages. Don't go away.